Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
You're on our YouTube channel. We're glad you're here. Please subscribe and give this video a like.
Also, check out the podcast in the description with us too.
All right, this is exciting because today we are talking about the first receiver taken in the NFL draft, superstar from Alabama to the Las Vegas Raiders, John, Henry Ruggs. Been a stud since day one, since Saban and everybody else was coming to the home, watching him play high school hoops. You've seen the video of him dunking all over people. We're going to get to watch and see why he might be dunking all over people in the NFL next.
I feel like he was a big deal in the South and anyone that casually watched Alabama games. But I feel after the season, during the draft process, as his basketball high school highlights started going viral,
Yeah.
I think his respect level just for NFL fans infinitely grew. And because for a while it felt like probably when the season ended, Jeudy, his stats spoke for themselves, and he was just a great player. And CeeDee Lamb, kind of the physical guy, were the two clear guys. And then this buzz started growing on the other Bama wide receiver, his basketball highlights, and you're like, is this guy Russell Westbrook meets Deshaun Jackson? Like, who is this human? And then you realize five-star recruit goes to Bama, plays as a freshman, 12 catches, 6 touchdowns. I'm not a math major, but that's a pretty good ratio. And then the last couple of years was in the 46-40, where Jeudy's in the 70s. But to me, the eye test, watching how fast he is, how explosive he is, running all the he runs over the middle, he runs deep, he run him on quick screens, like he does it all. To me, I don't see like a niche speed receiver only. I see a guy that can become closer to a complete, like Deshaun Jackson in the peak of his powers was a complete wide receiver who had elite speed. I think Tyreek Hill is kind of like that too. I think that Henry Ruggs can be sculpted in that mold if Gruden does a good job.
I think the answer might be obvious, but how does the guy who has 37 fewer catches than his teammate go 3 spots ahead of him?
Well, production doesn't determine where you go in the draft, right? We see a lot of, for years, that the air raid wide receivers and quarterbacks were always going late, and people were like, God, he caught 20 touchdowns. He had 140. No one cares. It's about your attributes, your characteristics, your physical. His speed guy is a separating factor. When you run a 4.28, RIP Al Davis, he loved you, but a lot of people love you when you're really good. And to me, a couple years ago, John Ross went in the top 10. That was a holy shit moment. When this guy went 12, I guess it might have been surprising just because of people thought you might hear Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb, but it was not a holy shit moment.
Yeah. 4.27, by the way. Give him that 10th of a
4.27.
second. But I think a lot of people said, like you said, what Schefter tweeted here about Al Davis, what we're going to watch when we watch, his speed is his number one quality. His speed is part of why he's so good, but he didn't get drafted as the first receiver just because he's fast. But I do think you're right. I think most people felt like it'd be Jeudy or Lamb that went first.
I agree.
It doesn't mean Henry Ruggs can't make the Raiders look good.
I mean, I think he has a chance to be a really, really complete pro. And I think sometimes when you get speed guys, you wonder if they become what you hope they become. Like if Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb hits, they're going to be a complete wide receiver. I'd say if you just ask an NFL fan that watched this guy, you'd be like, oh, he's going to be the best deep threat in the league. When you say that, do you agree that sometimes that it's almost a negative, like he can't do anything else? I think this guy, like Deshaun, can run every route you ask him to run. And sometimes those guys, either they're not comfortable doing it, they don't have the skill set to do it. This guy is a very, very gifted wide receiver.
Yeah, I think when you say best deep threat in the league, the impression you give is, oh, that's Torrey Smith, complimentary receiver.
Ted Ginn.
Ted Ginn was not drafted to be a complimentary receiver, but's gone on to have a really good NFL career. So now there's only one place to go, John. The film room. And why don't we get the mood set here? Set the mood. Turn the lights down low. Give you a little Iron Bowl right into your veins, John. I mean, look at this.
Think about this guy. When you want to bring a guy to the NFL, you go, has he ever played in big-time environments? Well, this guy's played LSU 3 times. He's played Auburn 3 times. He's played in he won the national championship his first year. He lost the second year. So that's 4 playoff games. He's played in the SEC championship game 2 out of 3 years. Every game he's played in, whether it was New Mexico State, Fresno State, or Arkansas, it was that team's Super Bowl.
Yep.
So this now maybe the four wide receivers are like, yeah, these guys don't have a chance, and I don't blame them for thinking that. But definitely the big games, right? LSU, Auburn, and the playoff games were viewed like NFL level in terms of 20 million people watching, doing huge television ratings, the buzz in their cities. It's a big deal in the South. Don't they say it just means more?
Mm-hmm.
So
they took New Mexico State's best shot, John, and kept on ticking. All right. So Josh Dubow, who covers the Raiders, tweeted this. Vic Tafer, who also covers the Raiders, he says, doesn't lie. It was a reply to a tweet about slants. Derek Carr was great. The most passing yards in the NFL on slants last year. And we're going to show you why this is a good match between the two. Henry Ruggs goes over the middle a ton, Middlecoff.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when you think about little wide receivers that aren't slot receivers, you go, do they have the balls to go over the middle? And if you watch this guy's tape the last couple years in the SEC, where they have the best defensive backs, he's flying over the middle in every game. Whether it's a deep end, a slant, and part of it is because the DBs, 10 feet behind him.
But part of the reason he's 10 yards off him is because he knows he can run by him.
Terrified. This guy, just the ultimate mismatch. Honestly, you watch some of these clips, and I like Jeudy and I love CeeDee Lamb. You do understand it from Gruden, from a scheme perspective. You start thinking of all the things you can do with this player, right? Mm-hmm. You go, well, he's running slants. It's my quarterback's best throw, because you already know that he can run the posts and the go routes till the cows come home. But if he can do this, you go, well, imagine what we can do on our offense. Because like you said, what's the first thing a defensive back is thinking when Henry Ruggs III is over him? He's going to run right by me. So I'm cheating, and then you just go the other way, and then you get easy first downs.
The other thing you see a lot, John, he runs away.
Who's he playing there, guys?
This is LSU that has to respect his speed. Here he comes over the middle again. South Carolina. Go. 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 That's Deshaun.
That's stupid right there. That's why you end up going 12. Like if he was doing all the others, that is the separating factor. Like if you had all the receivers on the same line on your draft board, like you all thought they were equal, to me it's like I can do that. So it's hard when you're this complete and you're that fast, to me, to fail. Like Ted Ginn isn't as close to as skilled as this guy. He's 15 years later still in the league. Yeah. Like this guy is so much more well-rounded, where you go, you take him at 12, I can run, he can take slants to the house. Like, what do you do here? So like the safety never has an angle, because they're always afraid that he's going to do what he just did. And then even when it's underthrown, the dude had to be thinking, well, I'm going to tackle this guy. And then he takes 2 more steps, and he's back to 4-2-7
NFL players get tackled right there. They don't score touchdowns when they're that underthrown.
Now, if that's the Chiefs, this Honey Badger, he might get tackled there. But still, like he's wide open. He's wide open.
John, he's backpedaled, turned all the way around. The other guy's had a dead sprint, and he still runs away from him.
Well, to me, speed. Remember, Dion said forever he thought he could break 5.0 with a back pedal. Like this, has Henry Ruggs ever walked into a room, been on a field where he wasn't the clear fastest guy on that field since high school all the way up till college?
God, no.
Even against like LSU and Auburn, they don't have a guy at that speed.
Contested.
Well, that would be my question about a little guy is like, okay, you're not going to be open every play. Can you go up and high point the ball? Do you have good ball skills? His concentration when the ball's in the air? Like this is a pretty – now I would like maybe to see his hands kind of shoot up a little higher. If I'm nitpicking, that'd probably be a coaching point with Gruden. But like is he trying to just avoid the DB's hands? Either way is a touchdown. To me, that's a really impressive play because he's not quote unquote wide open, and he has to kind of come back for the ball with a DB right there. The focus in the air is impressive. Because that to me is what a lot of NFL plays look like, right? Even when you're
you don't see a lot of running open by 7 yards. Yeah, which is hard. It's hard to find that. Because part of this is that this is a complete. These guys are like the greatest show on turf in terms of just having 4 receivers that could just slice and dice you at any given time. Let's look at a couple red zone plays here.
Honestly, guy might be one of the bigger upsets. The 4 of those guys and Tua didn't win a national championship, and they're 3.
Well, it turned out the greatest show on turf was in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and it got him.
And Tua got hurt.
And Tua got hurt. And last year they ran into Clemson. But to me, I think when you think of a guy under 6 feet that's a burner, you don't think of having like he's kind of irrelevant in the red zone. It's always been a Deshaun Jackson thing. He's not a red zone player. But if you're a smart football player, and I know my friends that do the SEC in the NFL, they say this guy's all football, all ball, all the time. And his feel, a couple clips that you'll find in the red zone of just he's never going to like win jump balls on 6'1" corners. But if you can find open spaces, you have the speed to get to that open space before everyone else who's already, especially on this offense, freaking out about all the 4 guys. But to me, he's got a good feel for the back of the end zone in these 2 plays, which is impressive.
Now, everybody, let's watch. Devontae Smith gets his head taken off here. I don't know if the DBs, even on contact, the DBs are celebrating the hit. I don't know if they know Ruggs is back there even after he catches the ball.
They didn't.
Watch them.
They didn't. If you had to guess,
they're talking shit to Devontae Smith right there.
Who's the quarterback throwing the ball to?
Oh, Mac Jones. Let's watch this again. I think he's throwing it to Smith. This is like the Tua pass in the national championship game his freshman year.
I can't tell, but if that is to Ruggs, that's a dime. If that really was to Ruggs, this kid's got a chance.
You know, the one thing is, if you watch Mac Jones is looking. I don't know. I think it's to Smith.
It's hard to tell. It might be.
How about this? This is that big Auburn game, up by 1 here, third quarter. Just hit the brakes, get the first down.
Well, that's another thing, guy. Can I trust this guy on the outside to run comebacks, to run deep outs? Because isn't this kind of an NFL look, like a DB all over him? He's mugging you down the line. Can you create separation, change the direction, the ability to just create a little, even if it's a little OPI, give him a little shove. That's honestly all the other stuff. Like once you see the one deep bomb, it's clear like that's going to be his. To me, these would be the question marks in a draft room. Like, can he do this stuff? And the more you see of it, you go, God, that's what I'm saying. I feel coming away, like once you watch these clips, you go, this guy can be a complete wide receiver.
I'll tell you this, don't challenge OPI in that play because you're not going to get it.
No.
Now, they mark him out where his right foot went out, so he actually – I don't think he got both feet down there because, look, they marked the ball where his right foot went out. So just coaching point, John, for the NFL.
How about the backup quarterback and him having that type of cohesion?
Mac Jones. That's one thing watching a lot of Ruggs, and we watched a lot of this game, is you do come away really liking Mac Jones.
Well, I'm pretty sure 4 or 5 touchdowns in this game. Dude can sling it. But to me, this is just an impressive pass and catch by the quarterback. And
okay, last thing, and I got to imagine this is what John Gruden's drawn up on his dining room table right now.
Well, you just don't teach this guy. Now, I get it's New Mexico State, but they could have had, what do you think, 25 New Mexico State defensive members out there? I don't know if they would have laid a finger on them. But if you notice,
first play of the game, John.
Alabama's doesn't touch anybody. Like there was one wide receiver that's kind of in front of a DB way down there, but they didn't block anybody. That one guy got blocked.
I wonder if they started this game thinking they could score a touchdown on the first play of the game here. With this play, this 15 minutes on the clock. This is the first snap.
You're saying you think they had this scheme that they thought this could be a huge play?
Yeah, because it's the first play they run. It's not something that they saw. This is not a second half adjustment. This is 10 seconds.
Are you saying
the game.
You saying Sark's kind of coming into his own as like a Bill Walsh of the SEC? You're right. This is an impressive play.
If you had over/under New Mexico State, Alabama, how long will this game be scoreless? And the over/under was 10.5, and you took the over, you'd be wrong. 10.5 seconds, because.
So it's 15. So they kicked the ball out of bounds, and he scores at what?
They kicked it in the end zone.
14:07. 14:07. How fast does he get to the end zone? He ran 80 yards.
So you're right. We could just do a flying 40 here. Time that out.
God, this kid's hauling ass. Yeah, this type of stuff. Don't you think Gruden's going to have plays with him in the backfield, him on motions, him on ghost motions, him on end around? Everywhere, this is where, to me, he probably comes in more than Jeudy or Lamb. Every step this guy takes, the defense size go to him, right? Every step he takes.
What's a good flying 40?
In the backfield. Any move. Like 4-3.
From 50 to 10. Here we go. Because he slows up.
He's not
From the 50 to the 10 was a 3.71.
He's fast. Might be a little trigger happy there.
You're not supposed to use your thumb, right? I'd use my thumb. Well,
wouldn't you expect the Raiders to have stuff like this, quick screens? I mean, beside just what you're going to ask of him to play wide receiver?
I would think this is what Gruden's been begging for in an offensive weapon.
Would you put him on punt or kick? He can do that. Or it's not worth it.
I mean, I would love to do it, but I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Maybe the occasional, like, tie game, Chiefs, punt return. Kick, no. But punt, he's in my back pocket.
I like
punt
that.
Returns.
I like that.
He's repping it during the week in practice.
Let us know what you think about Henry Ruggs to the Raiders, the pick, him going number 1 among all the receivers, and this video. Hit us with a like. We appreciate that. Anything else on Henry Ruggs?
Like the video.
Well said.